Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back. Let's get into it.
Hi, if you could just introduce yourself and tell us why you're here today.
My name's Richard Bergen. I'm the member of Parliament for Leeds East, and again I'm here at the national demonstration for Palestine because we need justice for the Palestinian people and we need our government to take the action required to stop Israel's war crimes and stop Israel's genocide, and that means widespread sanctions and it means an end to all arms sales.
And can you talk about what kind of pressure you as an MP are putting on the government to get to that end?
As well as raising the issue of Palestine and Israel's war crimes at every opportunity in Parliament, this week I organised a letter from over 80 MPs and Lords from 9 political parties to the Foreign Secretary demanding the scale of sanctions on Israel that we've seen in relation to Russia. The government quite rightly brought sanctions on Russia, widespread sanctions in relation to its unlawful invasion of Ukraine, yet has failed to take action in relation to Israel. So that means an end to all arms sales. It means widespread sanctions, not just on a couple of Israeli ministers in an individual capacity. It means an end to trade with the illegally occupied territories. And it also means that the government should fulfil its legal and moral obligations under the international under the international legal framework. For example, the Prevention of Genocide Convention. For example, the International Criminal Court and International Court of Justice.
I mean, we've seen the government not only failing to take punitive action against Israel, but, continuing to provide support for its campaign in Gaza, supplying F-35 parts, using Royal Air Force bases and flights. Why do you think there is strong support despite the overwhelming opposition to Israel's actions in Gaza?
Well, the majority of the public oppose Israel's war crimes and want to see an end to arms sales. I think the main reason, in my opinion, the government hasn't done what it should do legally and morally is because in this country, by and large, regardless of which government's in power, the usual position is to more or less do what the United States government wants. Regardless of the government that's in power here, regardless of the president that's in power in the United States, I think what we need actually is a more independent foreign policy. A foreign policy, in the words of Robin Cook, that's an ethical foreign policy. So that means a foreign policy that's not filtered through the prism of geopolitical alliances, but is instead a foreign policy based upon international law, the preservation of human life, human rights, conflict resolution, and that's what we need to see, in my opinion.
And just lastly, you talk about a government making independent foreign policy. Obviously, we've seen initiatives from, former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana to start their own party, one that would have a bit more policy freedom. What do you think of that initiative? Do you think it holds potential? Do you think it's constructive?
Well, I think that it's sad to see someone like Zara, who's a friend of mine, and a great colleague on so many issues, leave the Labour Party, not feel it's a place that she feels welcome after 14 years. And I think that the leadership of the Labour Party, the leadership of the government, needs to understand that it can't take any votes for granted. I joined the Labour Party when I was 15. I'm 44 now. I actually think that the only way to prevent a far-right government in this country is by having a Labour government whose direction is radically transformed, because otherwise what happened in the United States, what happened in Italy, could happen here. But regardless of whether people are in the Labour Party or outside the Labour Party, I'll continue to work on a cross-party basis with everyone who supports justice for the people of Palestine, with everyone who supports a fairer economy, and with everyone who wants to see an end to the war crimes.
And do you think you're in the majority in that case in Parliament?
Yes.
Cross-party?
Well, I think I'm in the majority of people across Parliament who think that it's wrong that the British government are not taking action necessary against Israel, and also actually put it to the test. The government should bring a vote on the recognition of the state of Palestine. I think the majority of MPs would support that, as they did previously in 2014.
Thank you very much, Rich.
الشراع الورق تبع عنب اخترنا ورق كينيا السلام عليكم. أنا اليوم راح أفرجيكم حالة خطتي الأولى، لأنه ما فيش أكل ولا لنا ولا للحيوانات. طلعوا هاي القفص الصدري وفيش هنا ولا إشي، هنا العظم. وولادها بيجي يرضعوا منها بيضطر، لأنه هي فيش معها حليب في بطنها عشان تشربها.
توفى بسبب سوء التغذية وعدم إدخال الحليب والأطفال لقطاع غزة. احنا بنطالب من كل العالم ومن كل الدول العربية وكل واحد عنده ضمير حي وعنده إنسانية وعنده كرامة إنهم بس يوقفوا مع الأطفال، بس يدخلوا حليب الأطفال لقطاع غزة.
أسبوع علبة الحليب كامل حقها 800 شيكل، نص العلبة 400 شيكل. أنا بدي قاعد في الليل بده يرضع من أمه وأنا ماسك الرضع حطه في تمه وهو يصيح وأنا يصيح، مش قبلان نرضع يا عمي لأنه الحليب خربان. هي الحليب خربان يا عمي.
نحن متنا من الجوع، مش لاقيين اكل ولا لاقيين شرب، حتى المي فيش ميه من البحر بنشرب، مي من البحر بنشرب، اكل مش لاقيين بتاتا.
I've been working on this topic for more than 4 decades, and there is no case since World War II of starvation that has been so minutely designed and controlled. This is preventable starvation. It is entirely man-made.
I'm just trying to add a comment there that, people we see like scooping flour from the floor. There's our desperation of hunger, looking through garbage, eating plants. Shouldn't be like this. Should let people have food, let access come in, give aid. I mean, the Jewish people everyone should know that what's it like to live a life of genocide. You know what I mean? Against the Nazis, but they're doing the same thing to other people, which makes it evil. You understand what people are going through. You don't do it to someone else. Have some sympathy, for the people.
At least 130 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces in the past 24 hours alone as Israel launches a new military ground offensive. The operation is targeting Deir al-Balah in central Gaza. It has served as a key hub for humanitarian efforts and is now under air and ground assault. Well, our senior international correspondent John Irvine is in Tel Aviv. John, explain, why are they attacking this area now?
It's a great question, Mary. Good evening. When it comes to waging war in Gaza, there's not much left for the IDF to do. But Deir al-Balah has the distinction of being one of very few urban areas where more than 50% of the buildings are still standing. To justify keeping wars going, armies need objectives, and it seems the IDF have been told to clear more and more of the Gaza Strip of structures and people. That's what right-wingers in the Israeli government want. Cabinet ministers who've repeatedly threatened to collapse the government if Mr. Netanyahu ends this war. The problem for the Israeli Prime Minister, Mary, is that polls consistently show that more than 70% of Israelis want the war over and the 20 remaining living hostages brought home. The other reason for this Deir al-Balah offensive right now is to put pressure on Hamas at the negotiating table. For the last fortnight, indirect talks have been taking place in Doha. Late last week, the Israelis made important concessions to which Hamas have yet to respond. What's happening in Deir al-Balah tonight lays bare what's in store for Gaza if Hamas do not respond positively.
So we're here in the West Bank town of Taiba. It really is the last real Christian majority community in the West Bank. And if you look behind me, this is the Church of St. George. It's a 5th century ruin, and it just goes to show how long Christians have been here. For millennia, almost as long as Christianity has existed itself. But look here too. All of this has been burned by settlers, Israeli Jewish settlers who have come by and essentially staged a pogrom here repeatedly. Community members here say on a daily basis. They also bring their animals to graze amongst these olive groves here, damaging the trees. All of it is done to try to get this Christian community, along with all of the Palestinian communities in the West Bank, to either leave the West Bank or leave Israel and the Palestinian territories entirely. The settlers believe this is their land, and they'll do anything to take it.
So I'm gonna end the video there and comment on the last video that even the settlers, they're attacking the Christian. When we see Palestine, you think of Muslim, but no, there's a birthplace of Christianity as well. Palestine. I believe Jesus was born in Bethlehem, which is current day Palestine. So yeah, they attack anyone. They believe that it's their land, supposedly 2,000 years ago, and God disowned them from the land, and they want to come back because they believe that God chose them. Doesn't make any sense, Even the Orthodox Jews, they go against Israel. They know the true meaning. They practice it, and if they say we don't have no such land, who knows more, them or them? Zionists or the Orthodox, the Jews, the real Jews, not just like the name brand. And yeah, anyways, end the video there. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. So